1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. There we go. We should be good audio-wise. Turn the camera off. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there are a couple of people already jumping on. Oh. If you're jumping on, you're a couple 10 minutes early. Appreciate you guys. At this time, I'm just doing a quick audio check and some tech check just to make sure I have everything together. So when we begin the presentation, we'll be solid. Always have some difficulties with these with Google Hangouts, but we'll kind of figure our way through this. See if I'm seeing something. If you guys are on and you see or if you can hear me, just give me a quick hello in the chat box. If you guys can hear me, just give me a quick hello in the chat box. I want to make sure that you guys can hear me. So if anyone is on right now, just give me a quick hello in the chat box. Just kind of let me know where you're from, name of your church, and where you're from. That'd be awesome. Let me try to get in real quick just to see what you're seeing. All right, I'll wait till he comes back. Well, hopefully as people are logging on, you guys are able to enter into the chat. So we're just doing a quick video audio check. Yeah, we're kind of live. So there are people that are on. I don't know if they can hear me yet. So hopefully, if you log on, you'll be able to let me know. Go to thrivechurchcoaching.com/automate webinar. Let's go. Let's start with thrivechurchcoaching.com. And then /automate webinar. AUTOMATE webinar, all in one word. You see something? Just do a quick check, see if you can hear me. Well, it's a delay, so it may take a minute, but let me know if you hear anything from me. You hear me at all? You just hear me in the room.
Distorted.
Oh, it is. It's distorted.
Wow. The delay is really long.
Yeah. Do you hear me though?
I hear you, but it's like you said it 3 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So you're just getting to the distorted conversation.
Man.
The delay is really long. You
Yeah.
hear it?
I don't hear you. I hear me.
No, I'm telling you.
Oh.
I hear you, but it's like you said it.
Okay. That's pretty funny though. Do you hear me? Wait, you're not on the thing. So
Really delayed.
yeah, it's about 40. It's supposed to be about 40 seconds delayed. Do you see my? Well, 40 seconds. We'll see if you see my screen. How's the audio though? Is the audio okay?
What?
Is the audio okay?
It's a little distorted, but I think it's because we're so close together.
Yeah.
It could be.
Let me see. It's not horrible. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm using mics and stuff.
I wonder if I went and sat in that corner over there.
The punishment corner? Sit all in the punishment corner.
I don't know if we just move the chair over here.
What's awesome is your board makes such a great background for video.
Actually, the audio is much better here.
Yeah?
Even though it's like super delayed, but
Yeah.
the audio is much clearer.
Okay.
I think it's because of the
We're so close.
we're close. I wish we got to be in that office. Probably even be even better.
Oh. Exactly. All right. Well, if you're on, just want to first and foremost welcome everyone who's on. We've got a couple of minutes before we begin, and just doing some sort of some quick video audio checks. By the way, Pastor Ariel, you probably see me now, see my live video. I just want to first and foremost thank you guys for joining me on this live webinar. We're going to be talking about automating. And do me a favor, just while we're kind of hanging and I'm doing some technical checks, it would be awesome if you just in the chat just kind of dropped in and let me know your name, what church, where you're from. Would be fantastic, just so we can get to know each other a little bit. And I'm trying to make sure I look okay. Is it too bright? Is it too bright with the sun? Is it too bright on the screen with the sun? No. I look like I'm holy. Get a little glow.
Yeah.
So yeah, so just jump right onto the chat. Do a favor, just jump right in. Just kind of let us know where you're from, what city, what state you're from, and again, we're just doing some audio checks as we kind of begin. I wonder if people can actually jump on right now. Well, you see me, so you should be able to jump. This Google stuff always confuses me. Ha! Pretty funny. Pastor John Rivera, all the way from New Hampshire, Boston. I take all the ways, and unfortunately, I get confused. You're in Massachusetts, right, Pastor? Comb my hair. This is one of the comments from Pastor Rivera to comb my hair. Funny. You know, I'm actually glad I took a haircut, even though I'm losing. You lost me for a second? Manchester. I knew it. Manchester. I don't know where Connecticut came from. Although you got to drive through Connecticut to Manchester. Pastor, awesome. You're on. So we're going to be starting in about another 3 to 4 minutes. Again, we're just doing a quick audio check, and I'm going to apologize. I'm going to apologize to you now. To with Google Chat, Google Hangs, but I'm just going to give you guys an apology ahead of time, just so you guys are aware. But I'm really excited to have everyone on, and really I'm excited about this webinar we're going to be starting in the next 2 minutes. And the excitement comes from the fact that all of us have this amazing message, this gospel that we're going to be presenting and teaching and communicating to people. And there's a practical and spiritual side to things. And practical, on the practical side, there's follow-up, and there's things that we can do, phone calls and emails, and just reaching out to people. There are practices that allow us to connect people to the gospel and grow spiritually. And so I want to really dig deep into some of that. I know many of you have ministries, and you're preaching fantastic sermons on Sunday, but it's what happens between Tuesday the following Sunday that really different. As you're logging, all of you that are logging, as you're logging, do me a favor, just enter your name, your chat name, and let me know where you're from, where you're from. And fantastic. We can talk a little bit and my background. What are you watching? What is that? The amoeba? Yeah, we've got all these notes. We're in one of our pastor's office, and he's got this beautiful mind behind us where he just kind of, all the great ideas get on there. So I'm gonna start getting myself ready and switching over to our to the PowerPoint. But before we do, want to just take a moment and again introduce myself. My name is Pastor Aaron Nieves. I'm of Thrive Churching, and I'm also the discipleship pastor at Christ Tabernacle, which is a church of about 4,000 members in New York City. And I'm super, super excited about them together, and really count it a privilege that you would just be able to sit, with me and take time on an hour or 15 and really talk a little bit about assimilation. So let's jump on my computer, and hopefully we won't break any process. So at this moment, just do me a quick favor. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. So you guys should be in a moment seeing my PowerPoint. And again, I wanna encourage you in this time as we're getting ready to begin. I want to encourage you to jump on that. I'll be asking you some questions, and hopefully getting an opportunity to get to know some of you. And so jump right onto the chat. You can sign in using your Twitter account, your Facebook account. Very easy. So just jump right on. That way we can dialogue. So as you're jumping on, let me know name and where you're from. Can you see my screen at this point in time? If you can see my screen, just kind of give me a big yes, I can see your screen. Or just a yes lets me know that my screen is live. Are you able to see my screen at this point in time? No. Okay, some of you are not able to see my screen. So let's do this. Just a blank screen, okay. Okay, so I'm working on making sure you can see my screen. You see my screen now, look at that. The magic of pressing the right buttons. Awesome, you should be able to see my screen at this point in time. And we are going to go live. All right, awesome. Well, once again, as you guys are logging on, thank you, Pastor Rory. See it. Katie, thank you for joining us from Friendsville, Tennessee. Awesome. And as you guys are just logging on, just do me a favor, just kind of let me know where you're from. And I want to just welcome every single one of you and just really begin by saying what you do. I know that many of you sacrifice, and there's so much that happens in terms of the ministry. And so I want to just thank you guys for taking the time and jumping on. Let me just know one more time if you see my screen. Make sure that you guys are good so we can just begin. All right, so to give you guys, again, a fair warning, if there's any issues with audio or video, do me a favor, jump right into the chat. Let me just kind of know. That way I'll be able to make any adjustments. If there's challenges, just begin by refreshing, and then that way we'll be able to see maybe, okay, right now it's the blue outline. Google chat happening. Okay, I see what's happening. Let's try this one more time. Okay, do you see my screens now? Do you see me? No. All right, so Kelly from Wheeling, West Virginia. Awesome, Kelly. So glad to have you. Wilma, great to see you from Queens. Don't see my screen yet, do you? Keep losing my screen. Now you see me. Okay, awesome. So here we go. Pablo Sadolfo, so glad to have you on. Awesome, from Queens, New York. Great to have you, Pastor. So let me just begin by welcoming you all to how to automate your assimilation, even if you're allergic to technology. I know some of you, some of us just have this fear of technology. Way to YouTube in terms of videos that he loves. Paula, also with you. So Paula, so glad that you're with us again from Queens, New York. You know, and so I think some of us, when it comes to technology, we kind of have a moment of fear. And here's the thing that's so amazing about technology. Technology for technology's sake is really a waste, but technology for efficiency and effectiveness is what the point of it is. And so we use technology to help us to reach others for the gospel. I mean, it's just, you can do amazing things. And so real quick, just for our viewing pleasure, I want to make sure that you guys take a moment, shut down any iTunes or any other apps that are playing in the background. And also, if you could, just kind of take your phone and put it on Do Not Disturb. I live with my Do Not Disturb. I don't know if it's a good thing, but I'm encouraging you guys to make sure that you put your phone on Do Not Disturb so that you can, the next hour or so, get ourselves to our time here. We do ministry at another level. So let me know that at the end, I want you to stay tuned. I've got you bonus where I'm going to share of Kit for free. 1 month of Kit, just the actual we're doing follow. So I'm going to be offering it for free. I've got Nisha Fields from Brooklyn. I'm so glad to have you from Brooklyn. You know what? I'm familiar where you're from, Brooklyn. So just an opportunity to know something. How easy, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being very difficult, 10 being super easy, how easy is it for guests to take next steps? How easy is it for you to get first guests to, whether it's participate in a meet and greet, fill out a connection card, join your membership club? How easy is it on a scale of 1 to 10? Because what we're trying to do really at this point in time is figure out, what are some of the challenges that some of us are facing. Some of you are having a hard time hearing me. Can you do me a quick, Pastor Randy? Just check a little bit audio. Very sparse on sound. Okay. You sounds okay. All right, I'm gonna keep the mic this way. Let me know. Having a hard time hearing me. Maybe I should switch to mics. Do I sound a little bit better? I sound okay. Let me know if I sound a little bit better. I want to make sure that you guys hear me clearly. Better. Okay. All right. So I'm going to keep it this way. So the question is from a 1 to 10, how easy is it for you to get first-time guests to take next steps? Some of you are saying 8. Uh, maybe you can hear me a lot better, a lot better. So as you're looking at this, the next question I want to ask you is, so what is that one action you could take to connect more guests? What's the one action? So as you're thinking about your 1 to 10, if you're an 8, is there something you can do that's going to make you a 9? If you're a 1, is there something that you can do that can get you to 3 or 4? If you're a 5, is there something you can do to get you to a 7 or an 8? Let me know. What is that one action you could take to connect more guests? And so as you're thinking about this, we should be really thinking about what are some ways that we can help our first-time guests take more steps, take next steps, draw closer to God, or connect towards the church. And just one word, give me one action, one word that you could take to connect more guests. And I appreciate some of you are saying to me that you can hear me clearer now. So thank you so much. I'm going to try to make sure that the sound stays as clear as possible. Mentoring is absolutely a great opportunity. Thank you. Helping people, communication is another thing. Clear communication, strong follow up. Also, thank you, Pastor Sadolfo. Follow up. Thank you. And so I want you to know that you're in the right place if you struggle to get first time guests to return to your church. You're also in the right place if you don't have a follow up process. You're in the right place looking for a process to help you first time guests and to fully engaged members of your church. You're in the right place if you're looking for a high touch, high quality follow up system that really operates on a shoestring budget. You're in the right place if you're a ministry leader. You're looking to automate communication, communicate in such a way where it's clear. You're in the right place if you want to just learn how technology can make you more effective and efficient in regards to your follow up. So again, I want to introduce myself. My name is Pastor Ariel Nieves. I'm the founder of Thrive Church Coaching, and I'm also the discipleship pastor at Christ Tabernacle. And it's interesting because my experience in the beginning, I made a commitment to Christ when I was 16, turning 17. That was in October. In November, I immediately became a member of the church. But then for about another year and a half, I didn't get involved. I had a cousin who held me accountable on a consistent basis. So after about a year, almost 2 years of being in the church, I didn't really know too many people, but I had my cousin again who held me accountable. And what began when I started to connect with people, get involved. As I got involved over some time, I ended up becoming the discipleship pastor at Christ Tabernacle. And when I jumped in as a discipleship pastor, it's breaking up again. I'm sounding robotic. I'm gonna just switch mics. Okay. Give me one quick second. I'm just gonna switch the back. Give me one quick second. All right. Mics. Okay, 1 2 1 2. Okay, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Do you hear me now? Did I switch over? I'll sound fine again. Okay. If I sound better, and also let me know if you guys can still see me. And so when I took over the discipleship, took somewhere between I sound between Darth Vader and Kylo Ren. Would love to hear that. Okay, sounds a little off. Let me see if I can just draw a little closer. All right, so the connection, not the mic. Okay. I'm utilizing the one of my better mics, so hopefully good. So at this point, our follow-up was strictly when I first took over the discipleship process at Christ Tabernacle. Our follow-up was all phone calls, and that was it. It was just so if you don't call, and unfortunately, if you know this, you're making any kind of phone calls, you realize that making one phone call usually takes maybe 20 minutes. You're dialoguing with people. Do me a favor, if you're having a hard time, Misha, just quickly refresh just to make sure that you connect again. So just kind of refresh on your screen, refresh the browser. So our follow-up had everything to do with if you made a commitment with Christ. If you were a first-time guest, sorry, you didn't hear anything from us. We didn't make any phone calls. We didn't make any emails. We were just happy that you were there. That was the extent of the experience. We were happy that you arrived. And so over some time, we started to dialogue, and we realized, hey, let's add emails to this. We started making emails, and so we would send out one email a week, one email to every first-time visitor. So if you were a first-time visitor, you would just get one email. And over some time, I sat down with our connections pastor or our director of connections, and we started to dialogue, and we realized, man, we were getting on a yearly basis, we were getting at least 1,000 first-time visitors, 1,000 first-time guests, and I was just ecstatic. I was like, "Ooh, 1,000! That's amazing!" And then the bad news, only was only about 20. So we were getting 1,000 first-time guests a year, and 20 of them were connecting to our church, and that was 2%. So that was bad news. And around the same time, I had hired a small groups coach, and he asked me this question that was really interesting. He said, "How long is someone attending your church before they become a member? How long is someone in your church before they feel compelled to take any kind of next steps?" And when we started to do some of the work and the research, we realized that the answer was 3 years. People were sitting in the congregation for 3 years before they decided to join the church. 3 years before someone decided they wanted to get involved in church. And so we realized that we needed to start making some changes. We need to make some adjustments. And started to work on some stuff. And at the same time, this is when I started Thrive Church Coaching. We started to really, one of the things that I started to work on was just really learning how to develop content or marketing content for Thrive, building relationships via email. And I started to learn certain principles, like the fact that it takes 7 touches to build trust, or that consistent follow-up is super important, or that you've got to automate your process so that you can really focus on adding value to your customers. And after doing a little while, I came to the realization that these principles, they weren't just for content marketers. They were for us, the church, those of us who provided the most important content. We need to learn how to do follow-up at a greater level. We need to learn how to communicate via email and utilizing technology so that we can build relationships with our first-time guests. And so that brings us to today. How to automate your assimilation, even if you're allergic to technology. And so let me just share with you the agenda for the day. I'm going to share with you 6 steps for automating your follow-up. I'm going to introduce you to a class that I'm launching next week on automating your follow-up. And we're going to do some Q&A at the end. And hopefully, you'll be able to continue to see my video and not lose any of the audio. The audio will be good through this process. All right, so we're going to jump right to it. So as I'm kind of just sharing and teaching, if you have any questions, just drop it right into the chat, and I'll do my best to answer it. And whatever I don't answer now, I'll answer at the end when we do our Q&A. So here are the 6 steps for automating your assimilation. Step number 1, you've got to map out your process. You got to map out your process. Step number 2, create content that connects. Step number 3, you've got to build the system. You got to build the system. Step number 4, you've got to test the system, right? You've got to make sure that the system works, because if you're going to put something out, I mean, talk about first impressions. You got to make sure you're testing the system. Step 5, you got to feed the system. You got to feed it, right? So now that we have a system, how do we connect? How do we have connection cards and follow up and first time guests? How do we get them into the system? How do we get their names in there? And we got to delegate, right? Because our jobs are not to just do all else. Our job is to create this, monitor the system, and utilize the volunteers that God has graced us with to be able to get the job done. Especially if you're small, doesn't have resources in the finance, your process. Here's an example of a 21-day follow-up plan that we've put together. 80% of the plan here at Christ Tabernacle. So day 1, we send out an email. Day 4, a handwritten note, or we send out another email. Day 5, an email. Day 8, we include a video in the email, a video greeting from our senior pastor and his wife. Day 11, an email. Day 15, text message, just usually a reminder. Day 17, another email. Day 19, some sort of robocall that just reminds them to come to the meeting on 21. You've got to create a follow-up plan. And so let me give you 3 quick tips for mapping out your process. All right, so here's tip number 1. You want to start simple and then get fancy. A lot of times what we do is we want to all the technology, everything we kind of have discovered, we want to put it all in. The best thing you can do is start simple and then develop it, then get complicated. So this is what starting simple looks like. Just use email. That's it. Just do email in the very beginning. Then, as you're continuing to develop, you can start to get fancy. You can video. You can add a handwritten if you want. You can do a robocalls or text messages. But for now, as you're mapping out your follow-up process, just think about keeping it simple. Tip number 2, you got to identify next steps. Right? So if you're going to have first-time guests come to your church, you've got to take them somewhere. There's got to be a purpose behind it. Pastor Andy, who's actually sitting right next to me, he's got a quote he says all the time. He says, you got to capitalize off of the decisions people make. So what that means is when someone raises their hand to identify themselves as a first-time guest, how do you capitalize off that decision? How do you help them to take next steps? How do you help them to draw closer? And so here's a couple of, you can do a membership class. Right, so maybe your process, your is just to get them to membership, and then you disciple them. Or maybe there's a meet and greet where if they're a first-time guest, they get an opportunity to get together and meet the pastor somewhere. Or maybe there's some sort of Bible study, right? So a Bible study or a new believers class where they get together and they get to connect with God's word. Or maybe there's some sort of life group or a small group. Whatever the process is, the goal, the idea is that you've got to provide next steps. Don't just follow up for the sake of following up. Give them clear next steps. What is the next thing you want them to do? And make sure that there's one clear next step. It's very difficult or very challenging when we've got multiple next steps. Our guests don't know what to do next. I know that we think they want choices, out of one direction, and here's the next step. You want to add a human touch, right? Because what's happening is we're doing all this follow-up, and a lot of this follow-up is really automated. It's emails, and adding human touch to it. First is you've got to look at the 2. Who's this being sent from? So if you look on the image on the top, Tabernacle, right? That's a part. But people connect to departments. People don't connect to businesses. People connect with people. So you want to put a name on the top. So, for example, when you're on the image on the bottom, you can see it says my name, Pastor Ariel Nieves, right? Because that's more personal, that's intimate. You're dialoguing with me. Even if it's not my personal email, the name alone just gives the impression, it communicates to people that you're talking to people. People want to connect with people. The second way to inject human touch is to respond to any emails you get. So what's going to happen is as you start creating a follow-up process that includes emails or text messages, people are going to respond. They're going to hit reply. And so here's an opportunity for you to get into a dialogue with a first-time guest. And again, by you, I don't necessarily mean the senior pastor. What I mean is whoever your discipleship or assimilation person is, a volunteer, but whoever it is, the idea is you've got to make sure you're responding to people. Add a phone call, right? Some random phone call. Do you hear the audio? Did the audio just stop? Back? It stopped. Okay, let me know if you guys still hear me. Sounds like, you kind of lost the broadcast for a second. Just hit refresh on your thing. Okay. Do you still hear me? Audio's going through? Okay, so here's the second thing. Step 2. Oh, everyone hears me. Except for Danny. Pastor Andy sabotaging me here. Step 2. Create content that connects. So here's a quick question you've got to think about. What do you think is the number one most important aspect of your assimilation process? What is the number one most important aspect of your assimilation process? Here's what I think it is. It's understanding your audience. The most important thing you can do is understand your audience. Get to know the people you are ministering to. So here's an example of this. An easy way for you to get to know the needs of your first-time guests is by reaching out to those who are new members, right? So if someone's a new member, they've been a new member for the last, let's say, 6 months, speak to the new member and ask them some questions. Find out what are some of the challenges, what are some of the struggles. We did this recently. Maybe about 2 years ago, we were talking with our new members, and I was just asking questions, and some of them were saying to us, hey, one of the biggest challenges that we're facing is that it's not clear when we come to the church is so big, there's so many things you're doing, we're not sure what to do next. And so we said, oh my, because we had a membership class. The membership class, the name of the membership class was Christian Living 101, CL 101. That sounds like the name of a class, but we changed it and we called it Getting Started because it was very clear to our first-time guests, if you wanted to get started at Christ Tabernacle, you had to go to Getting Started. And so that's why we changed the name and we made it simple. We made it easy. And as you're creating stuff, as you're looking at names and titles, just think about what makes it clear to your new guests. And really, the only way to identify this is by knowing your audience's pain points. You've got to get to know what are their struggles, what makes it difficult for them to get to your church, what's the experiences that they're having that they're struggling with. And so here's a simple way to identify pain points, right? So you may have some issue, for example, clear next steps, unfamiliar with the Bible, living common law. So these are some pain points that I've heard as I'm talking to new members. My emails, this follow-up email now becomes a part of communicating solutions to that. So I may say, if you've got clear next steps, let's go to Getting Started. That's very clear. Or if you're unfamiliar with the Bible, here's a simple devotional that you can read. Or if you're living common law, let's connect you with the marriage ministry and let them counsel you. The idea in this process is to make it simple and clear for people. So identify their issues. Now you've got solutions. When you can identify issues and provide solutions, all of a sudden you've got strong content for your followers. And so you would model your emails. Okay, these are the emails that you would be sending to people. It's a simple model. It's called pain, gain, and logic. So let's say, for example, you want to invite your people, you want to invite your visitors to start reading their Bible. You want to challenge them to read your Bible. Let's start with pain. Pain really says that I've got to change because it hurts too much to stay the same, right? That's the purpose of pain. It hurts too much to stay the same. I would start off an email that would say something like, hey, are you tired of making wrong decisions? Are you tired of some of the relational challenges you might be facing? Wrong job, wrong relationship, wrong style? And then I would transition and say, I completely understand where you're at. I also struggle with making wrong decisions. Unpack and make those wrong decisions. And then I would say somewhere in there, I would transition and say, I'm starting to experience the blessings that there are living God's way. How do I learn to make decisions God's way? Well, I study the Bible. And so I want to encourage you to, in this action app, encourage them to sign up for a Bible study class, encourage to read a devotion that you're for them. But the idea is that you're creating an email that's going to take them making bad decisions, maybe that's an issue they're facing, to making good decisions, and the way they get there is through encountering God's word. And so that would be the purpose of this kind of follow-up email, just to kind of help them to start making or familiarizing themselves with God's word. Another example would be the email game, right? So there's some people who respond to pain. So, for example, if you go to PC Richards, there are some people who go to PC Richards or to Best Buy, they crashed. Other people go to Best Buy for the sake of gain, right? Because their TV's too small. The Super Bowl is this Sunday, and they've got to get the big screen TV. That's gain. And so as you're writing your emails, you've got to remember follow-up. There's some people who are going to follow up, who are going to respond to you because of pain, and there's some people who are going to respond because of gain. And so when you're writing gain emails, you've got to unpack the benefits. And so you might say something like, this Sunday we're going to have our next Bible study, or you may say something like, hey, I want to encourage you to read this devotional, because when you read consistently, this is what's going to happen. A, you're going to get to know God. B, his work's going to start to operate inside of you to change the way you think. And then you may maybe ask some sort of question, say something to the effect of, have you ever struggled in your spiritual walk? Well, if you have, here's an easy way to do it. And so the third email system is logic. And so logic is really, there are some people who their way to connect with God is through their heads. And I'm like that. I need to understand before I can make a decision. Logic is really about, you want to make certain that people understand the results needed before they take action. You want to make sure that they understand the results that are needed, the results that they're going to get before they take certain actions. And so logic just may sound something simple like, hey, sign up for this class. It's going to be Thursday, 6 weeks. This is what you're going to learn. This is what's going to require of you. This is what's going to cost. And so that's kind of a template. That's one of the models for doing follow-up, for writing content that connects with people, where you've got pain, you've got gain, logic. In class that I mentioned to you that we're going to be starting next week, I also have the model, the Shepherd model, I'll share with you then. Step 3, build the system. Okay, so at this point, we've mapped out the system, the way it looks. We've created some content, right? We've created emails, and now we're going to build a system. And so let me share with you the 4 tools that I use. There's Vimeo. So Vimeo we just use specifically for video. And this is an example, a picture of our senior pastor and his wife. Two of them, they do a video greeting for all of our first-time guests. This is the email that a first-time guest would receive. We also use text messages. So primarily I use text messages as a reminder for people. Hey, don't forget, this Saturday we're going to be meeting at in the sanctuary, or hey, don't forget, there's an event coming up. So texting, I use texting for those purposes. We also use robocall, and at one point, robocall, obviously, in my mind, I used to always connect robocall with those policy votes. You get all these weird robocalls. And so I always felt like, nah, I'm not going to use robocall. That's just really, I don't want to say slimy, but it just feels unethical, or it feels difficult to connect with. But I realized, I said, you know, let me try something. I'll try anything once. We did a robocall for autism. This was about a year and a half ago. So I recorded on a Thursday. That Sunday, I have this individual. That Sunday we were having baptism. I saw that had this individual come up to me and thank me for calling him first. If he was talking, this guy's out of his mind. I never called you. And he came to me. He said, "Hey, yeah, you called me. You encouraged me to get baptized. I wasn't gonna do it, but today I'm going to get baptized because of the call you made." And it hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, what he's talking about was the robocall I did on Thursday. And in the robocall, I just simply said, "Hey, I want to encourage you to jump, to take advantage of our baptism. Click here to sign up." And it was like, you know, press 1 for the 9 o'clock service, press 2 for the 11 o'clock service, press 3 for the 1 p.m. service. And all of a sudden, this guy jumps on, and it's amazing to just see. It's amazing to see how a robocall that seemed and seemed insignificant seemed like a personal call, and he made a decision to be able to get baptized because of that one robocall. So I wouldn't tell you to do robocalls for everything, but when it comes to reminders, robocalls are fantastic, especially because when you want to influence people or encourage people to make a decision, when they hear the pastor's voice on their voicemail or they get a message from you, man, they are so encouraged. But here's the most important tool. The most important tool is email. And so I want to take 30 seconds. I'm gonna try this. We're gonna hopefully not break. Hopefully we won't break Google Chat. But what I want to be able to do is I actually want to be able to give you a 30-second to a minute tour of ConvertKit is the email program that we utilize. And so let me show you what ConvertKit looks like. And so ConvertKit, again, this is the program that we utilize. And so what I want to be able to do is I just want to show you how to create a couple of emails. I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is. So I've created a follow-up plan, right? So this is day 1. This is the email I wrote. I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to bring it over to ConvertKit. I'm going to go to courses, right? Because courses is where you'll be able to see all of the emails, and created a course called 21 Day Follow-Up. So this is, to me, this is one of the coolest things you can do. And so you're going to see right, it says introduction content. So that's the first email. I'm going to just copy the email that I previously wrote. I'm going to copy the subject into the subject area. And I'm going to, give me 1 second, delete this subject. And where it says your church, I'm going to say walk to Christ Tabernacle. And my apologies. I'm going to put this over here. And this is personalized tag, subscribe, and pretty much you just update email as you see fit. If you want to include an image, let me see if I can find a nice little image. And just include this image here. It's going to take a couple of seconds, and it's going to just import it. Hopefully, I'm not breaking any because I am we're live on chat. And that's pretty much the entire process. So I included in a picture, I included an email. Obviously, you will get the email and then publish it. And then you hit save. Absolutely it. And I wrote email number that's going to go out. I'm just going to put this. So the minute someone is subscribed as a first-time guest, you're going to get this email immediately. I'm going to do one more email. Again, I'm just giving an example. This is, let's say, email number 2. What's next? That'll be the title. I'm going to copy the title over real quick. And you're going to get this day 1. So you see the days on the top. So day 0 would say immediately, you see where it says welcome to Christ Tabernacle, where mouse is, it says immediately after subscription. That email, the minute you subscribe them, they're going to get it immediately. Let me just copy the rest of the body. This is a little longer text. And again, it's just a text kind of created. So some of the information is empty, but you see, I just kind of copy pasted everything in, and it's pretty much formatted properly. And that's the email. So I'm going to just hit published, and I'm going to hit save all. And so now these emails are ready to go. And so in the matter of 2 to 3 minutes, I set up these emails, and they are ready to be sent out. And so that's ConvertKit in a nutshell. Obviously, there's a little bit more to it, but that's ConvertKit in a nutshell. So let me show you step 4. We've got a couple of steps more to go. Now that you've actually created some emails, you've mapped your process, created some emails, now you've got to test the system, right? You're building your system, you got to test the system. Use your forms, so can people connect, can they enter their name, email address? When someone is signed up into your, first time guest, so they're going to get the right emails. You want to just test those things. You want to test any kind of automation. So the way of automating is you can get people to just click a link and it automatically registers them for a course. Again, another way that you want to just make it simple and easy for people, make sure it works. So you want to test your links. You want to also, again, test your links in your emails. Make sure if people are going to click on something here, it's going to take them to, the right link. If I've had a tendency of screwing up links a little bit. So you'll click on my link and it takes you to, hey, this page does not exist. I've done that before. It is embarrassing. The last thing you want to do is take your first-time guest to a page or an image or a link or a registration page that does not exist. The other thing you want to do is you want to test your email. I'm going to camp here for a minute. And here's what I mean by that. Not necessarily does your emails go out, but are people opening and reading emails? And so you want to take a look at the open rate, and you want to take a look at click rates and the sends. And so you want to make sure that people are opening up your emails. And if you're not opening up your emails, then you need to take a moment and take a look at the subject line. And then here's the, I guess, way of thinking behind this. You want to build little and test it. Build little, then test. Build and then test. Build and then test. As opposed to building everything in one shot and then realizing at the end that you've got some errors, major errors, and it take you a long time to figure out what those errors are. So it's a lot easier if you build and test, build and test. Here's step number 5. Then you got to feed the system. So here's an easy way to feed the system. One, you got to collect information cards. Let me take 30 seconds. This is an image of the info card. A lot of the churches that I coach work with, what they do is that they've got a table and information, and they remind people that to the service, take your connection. What I have found is that when you've got people who are going to a church for the first time, especially if they've got children, the last thing they're worried about is your first-time gift. They're worried about the children in the children's area. They're worried about, is their car okay? What do I have to do after this service? I've got to rush out of here. And so what I would encourage you to do is, instead of making first-time guests get their gift after the service, consider giving them the gift within the service during the announcements. So when someone, for example, the host, and we really map this out in the class that I'm going to talk to you about in a moment. We have our guests, our host will acknowledge the guests, have them raise their hands, give them the gift. They take the card and they fill it out and then drop it into the offering basket. And so again, in the class that we'll talk a little bit about in a moment, we actually provide a script that you can utilize, that your host can just memorize or read, acknowledge first-time guests. All right, so that's step one. Step two, you want to enter the visitor's info into the system. All right, so many of you may have a membership system, Fellowship One, Community Builder. There's another one called Community Groups, and to that effect. Some of you may even be using Excel. Absolutely, whatever you're using, just make sure you enter. So this is Fellowship One. We utilize Fellowship One here at Christ Tabernacle. Step three is now you're going to go into your membership program and export Excel. Okay, so at this point, just to kind of recap real quick, we've gotten everyone's connection cards. We're entering, so it's Sunday. We've got all our first-time guests. We're going to take their connection card. We're going to enter it into our membership program. Monday comes, we're going to export the program. We're going to export the list of new members. The list of new guests out of our membership program, and then we're going to step 4, import it into ConvertKit. And it's real simple, right? You're going to hit import subscribers. You're going to hit the import button. Then you're going to select the form that you want them to get, and then that's it. And so I'm going to take another risk. I'm going to step out of this program, out of the presentation. I'm going to jump over to ConvertKit, and I'm going to show you how easy. I've created a course called the 20-Day Follow-Up. So I'll go to subscribers. And what I have done is I have actually downloaded most of your emails. So there may be some of you who may not get the emails, but most of you who signed up, I should have your emails. And I'm going to just hit import subscribers. I'm going to find the document that has all of your names and emails. I'm going to hit courses, right, because we just created 21-day course. And I'm going to hit import subscribers. And so in the next, you should be receiving an email from me that it's kind of welcoming you to Christ Tabernacle. So now, I just did that. All I did was I exported everyone who was a first-time guest. I imported you into ConvertKit, and I did it in a matter of about 2 to 3 minutes. So it doesn't matter if you've got one person on your one first-time guest, or you've got 1,000 first-time guests. It took me 5 minutes to begin my follow-up process. And that's exactly what I want to be able to help you do, is make your follow-up process effective and efficient. And so at this point, we've reached to step 6, which is delegate. And so with the delegate step, we want to document and train. And so one of my favorite commercials, So Easy a Caveman Can Do It. When we're creating our process, we've got to be thinking it's got to be so easy, any volunteer can do it. It can't be complicated. It can't be, hey, the way we create this, you've got to have a PhD in technology. It's got to be simple so that any volunteer can do it. And so the way you do this is you begin by creating clear instructions. You want to create clear instructions. Program Sweet Process is a program I utilize to help me just to kind of create documents that people can just kind of follow up on. It's kind of what I call just next steps documents. So here's how you create these. Step 1, you're going to do it for the first time. For the first time, you're going to do it yourself. And then you're going to build a checklist. So as you're building the checklist, you're kind of doing it yourself. You're going to build a checklist. Step 2, you're going to find volunteers who can test your checklist and make suggestions. So they're going to kind of create it with you, and then they're going to follow up with you. This is an example of a checklist. This is a checklist I use every time I create a Google Hangout. And so you just kind of write all the steps out,
and then your volunteers are just going to do the follow-up. They're just going to follow up with you. Step 3, you're going to incorporate their recommendations and then repeat step 2. Okay, so you're going to incorporate their recommendation and just repeat step 2. And then here's the goal. The goal is to make it easy for people to understand and to do. Right, so you want to create what you're going to actually be doing is creating a booklet that people can utilize. And again, you're going to make it easy for everyone to do. And so here's the tip. Don't complicate, listen, don't complicate the instructions. Make it as simple as possible. Don't complicate the instructions. Here's the idea behind it. When I'm looking at this engine of this car, here's the bottom line. I do not need to know how to build an engine in order for me to be able to drive a car. Right? I don't need to know how all the technology works. All I need to know is how to put a key in the car and turn the ignition. And that's how we've got to look at it when we're creating any kind of process or system. You don't have to know all the ins and outs. All you need to know is how to be able to how to utilize the key, how to turn the key, how to get the ignition on. All you've got to be able to know is how to create the system, how to utilize the system, not necessarily all the ins and outs of the system. And so the other part of delegating is you want to develop teams that are going to handle your follow-up. So you've got teams that are going to handle, who are going to enter the connection cards into the program, into your membership program, and then you want to create teams that are going to help you with the actual follow-up. Who are going to enter it into the email program and do the marketing and check in on that. And if you don't have teams, there's another program that I would suggest. Is Fancy Hands. And Fancy Hands is simply a team of virtual assistants, and anything that can be done online, they can do for you. And for about $50, they can handle your help with your assimilation process. You just may need a team to enter the programs into, enter the cards into the system online, into your membership class, into your membership course, and then you can just export it, forward over to Fancy Hands, and it can do everything else for you. And so those are the 6 steps for automating your assimilation. There's your process. Step 2, you can create content that connects. Step 3, you're going to build the system. Step 4, you're going to test the system. Step 5, you're going to feed the system. And then step 6, you're going to delegate. And so at this point, I have a quick question for you. So what do you think? I mean, do you think that if you just took the steps that I gave you, you'd be able to create a follow-up system? You'd be able to really start connecting with first-time guests? And here's what's just been so amazing for us. I mentioned in the beginning that we had at 1 year only connected 2% of our first-time guests. About 20 of our first-time guests had actually become members of our church. For 2015, we went from 2% to about 60%, in the sense that we had 250 members. 60% of those new members, about 150, 160 of them, had come to our church in 2015 for the first time. When we did a poll, we asked, hey, well, how many of you have been coming to our church for 6 months less? 60% of every single membership class raised their hands. There were people in our membership class that were coming 3, 4 months, 1 month, 2 months. And the only thing that we did different was begin a follow-up process, automate our follow-up. And so I want to just kind of encourage you to consider automating your assimilation, automating your follow-up process, especially if you're on your own. And so I'm not sure you showed up, but I'm going to take a couple of guesses. You might have showed up because your assimilation process isn't connecting guests. Or maybe you showed up because you're intrigued at the idea of using technology for your follow-up. Maybe you're just looking for strategies to help grow your church. Maybe you're tired of not getting the right results. And so I want to encourage you. I want to challenge you. I want you to know today that it's time. God has entrusted us to connect with them, that we begin to take them to help them go from becoming fully engaged members of our church. It's your time. I think it's your time to create a system that's going to help you connect visitors never before. Of our guests and had at least 100 first-time guests as new members. That's 100 individuals to our church in that year. Services made a decision to church, but now it's within the year, and the only difference we've made is automating our follow-up. I don't want you to know that I'm not extra special, and I don't have access to exclusive resources and tools. I just have a system that works. And listen, if I can do this, I know you can too. And I want you to know how to connect at least 20% of your first-time guests. If you're nodding your head and you're saying, man, I want to connect at least 20% of my first-time guests, really without feeling like a car salesman or feeling like you've got to manipulate people. If that's you, if you're at that place where you're saying, man, I want to connect at least 20% of my first-time guests, I want to grow them, I want them to become fully engaged members, and I want to see them on fire for God, then I want to introduce you to a class that I'm beginning next week called Connect 1,000 Guests. Now, my promise isn't that you're going to get 1,000 first-time guests tomorrow, but my promise is that you're going to have a system in place that's ready for when the people come. See, I'm a huge believer in this. The Bible says specifically that God's not going to give anything you can't handle. So I believe that there's a preparation period that we require to get us ready for the increase that God wants to bring. And so part of that preparation period is this assimilation process. And so Connect 1,000 Guests is my A to Z blueprint for creating and delivering that builds massive trust with your first-time guests and turns first-time guests into fully engaged members of your church. See, Connect 1,000 Guests is a brand new, it's live 5-week class. And so class actually is going to begin Thursday, next week Thursday, February 11th at 3 p.m. at the exact same time. So let me tell you a little bit about what's inside the program. Module 1, you're going to learn how to map your follow-up process. See, I gave you in this webinar training, I gave you 3. There are 7 more that I want to share with you. Plus, I've got an actual template that you can utilize to start to lay out your process. Then there's Module 2, writing emails that connect with guests. And as I mentioned in the webinar, we talked about pain, gain, and logic. There's also another one called Shepherd, where we're talking a little bit, well, it's a different model for communicating with people, but it's all about helping people with their problems and providing solutions. And it's an email creating model. It's how to write content. It's a model that helps you build trust and connect with your first-time guests. Then there's the third module is building the system. How do you build the system? And listen, in this module, I'm going to hold your hand through building a system. We're going to work through it together. Then there's Module 4, which is identifying visitors. And here is where we're going to walk you through how to identify who the first-time guests in your church are. Because if you're getting 2 or 3 first-time visitor cards or first-time guest cards, that's awesome. But I know there's so much more that are coming to your building and are not identifying themselves. And if they're not coming, we're also going to talk about ways that we can challenge your congregation to invite others to your church. And then Module 5, we're going to talk about delegating. And this is where at this point, we're going to have our system built out. We're going to start to document the system, and then we're going to train people. And it's going to be super easy, but what's amazing with this module is that you're going to go from the architect or the person who's responsible for maintaining the system to someone who can delegate it to others so that others can handle these responsibilities. And again, if you're the pastor of a small church, this is super important because you're the guy who's doing everything. And so what we want to do is put you in a position where you're not doing everything. You're overseeing the systems. I love to say it this way. If you're the owner of McDonald's and you're flipping, you're doing something wrong. But if you're the owner of McDonald's, you should be the guy who's dictating how the burgers are flipped and then hiring or finding others who can help you flip the burgers. And that's what this is all about. Identifying ways where people can flip the burgers, train them, create checklists. And so what you're going to get in this program, you're going to get the complete assimilation system we talked about today, 100%. It's a live training class, so we're going to be able to interact, ask questions. You're going to get plus cheat sheets and checklists where you're going to be able to follow the instruction, follow through on everything that's you've got to do. And then I'm also providing a member-only private Facebook group. And what's awesome about this private Facebook group is what's going to happen is this is going to be the area where, as I do assignments, you're going to be able to submit some of those assignments, and I'll be able to on it, take a look at what you're doing, take a look at maybe some of the emails you've written, give you some feedback. And so again, some of the cheat sheets that we're providing, this is also in the resources, a bonus that I'm providing is a $21 plan. In it, if you don't have any, if you have no, you're going to file, email, follow up, and it's going to be fantastic for you if you're going to start from the very beginning. And so I mentioned in the beginning to stay tuned to find out how to get 1 month free of ConvertKit. And so this is what I'm going to do. If you sign up today, if you sign up in the next 20 minutes for next 1,000 guests, I'm going to cover your first month of ConvertKit for free. And the reason is because I've been using ConvertKit for the last 3 months. I discovered it about 3 months ago. And let me tell you, it is phenomenal. It is an amazing program. And it's honestly very inexpensive, and yet it is phenomenal. So I'm going to cover the first month because I want to make sure that we set you up right. And so I'm sure you're at this point, you're saying, hey man, I'm ready to create a highly connecting follow-up system. But the real question that you've got is, what's the investment? How much is this going to cost me? So I want you to know that the total value of the program is $1,200. When you think about the actual 6 classes, the 5 classes that we're going to be providing, all of the cheat sheets, the Facebook group, the times that we're going to be able to have Q&A, it's $1,200. But your investment today, you can invest today, get into class today for just $59 today. And then follow up with 3 installments, 3 monthly installments of $59 to follow. So it's just $59 today to jump into the program. And so as I mentioned, you can get started today for $59. Or if you want to make a one-time payment, this is the best value, it's $189. A one-time payment of $189. And you connect 1kguest.com. Connect 1kguest.com, and that's where you'll be able to sign up for the program. And as I mentioned, the classes are going to begin next week, Thursday at 3 o'clock. And if you go to this website, once you click on the website, once you click on connect1kguest.com, it's going to take you a page that's just got more information about the program. And then scroll down to the bottom, you're going to see that there are 2 pricing plans. One on the left, and today, 3 monthly installments of $59 to follow, or on the right, one payment of $189, which is a savings of $47. You can pick either one. It's going to take you to the order page, which looks just like this. This is the order page. You'll enter your information here. And then once you do the order page, there's an opportunity for you to upgrade. And so the upgrade is what I'd love to offer to you is an opportunity for me to build the actual follow-up, the automated for you. I can build a system for you. Now, it's up to you. It's a choice. You can say no, thank you. See the link on the bottom and just kind of continue. But if you'd like for me to do it for you, you can up your order, and with this, you're going to get full access to the entire class. Plus, what will happen is you're going to get an email from me scheduling a phone call where we'll sit down, we'll talk about the culture of your church, and I'll actually build the follow-up process, the follow-up system for you. I want you to know that there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, but I'm a little finicky with my guarantee, so here's the guarantee. If you do the work, you show me your results, and you're still not satisfied, then I'll gladly give you a refund. But you've got to do the work first, because I know that the system works, and I know that's going to help you connect more first-time guests, but I want you to do the work. And so the total value of the program, as I mentioned, $1,200, the full automation training course, the bonus, getting the Facebook group, and also the 21-day follow-up plan. It's a total value of $1,200. But as I mentioned, you can get started today with one simple payment of $59, and then after that, there'll be 3 more monthly installments of $59. And that's at connect1kguest.com. And so at this point, some of you just may be thinking, really, I don't even know where to start, Pastor. And I want you to know that I want to help you in that process. Okay, so if you're not sure where to go from here, how to implement some of the things we talked about, I want to help you with that process. Some of you might be thinking, yeah, I really don't like any of this techie stuff. I'm allergic to it. Anytime I get in front of a computer, I start sneezing. So I want you to know that I am here to help you and walk you through it, hold your hand through it, and really provide and be a support to you. Some of you might be thinking, hey, I don't have the time to do this. I want you to know that's the very reason why you've got to jump into this program, why you got to jump into class, because you don't have the time, but you still have to follow up, and God is still giving you first-time visitors, first-time guests, and you got to have a system in place to do it. And so I want to have you help you. And that's the great thing about automation. You work really hard in the beginning, and then afterwards, it's just automated. It's continuous. Some of you might be saying, well, I don't have enough volunteers. Awesome. This is exactly why the program is fantastic, because when you automate your follow-up, the automation does the work for you. You don't need volunteers to sit in front of a computer and hit send every 20 seconds to send out 20 individual emails. You just need to bring them into the program and let the program do it for you. And then some of you are saying, man, I just wish I could afford it. Well, part of the reason why I kind of did a $59 program is so that it's easy and affordable for any pastor. But if at this point you're saying to me, hey, I still cannot afford it, I want you to know that I would love for you to send me an email and let's dialogue about it and figure out how we can help you, because I want to make sure that money is not an issue. Money should not be a reason why you can't connect first-time guests. There are souls at stake, and our message is so important. And so I want to make sure that we can do everything we can, that Thrive can do everything it can to be a support to you. And so again, that's connect1kguest.com. And so at this point in time, I'm going to transition over to questions. So if you've got questions, you can just drop it into the chat, and I'll just begin to answer any questions that you might have. And so one of the questions that I get when I have this conversation with pastors is they're constantly asking me about the cost of ConvertKit or some of the other programs. And so currently, I use ConvertKit here, and we pay $29, and the $29 a month allows us to reach 1,000, have 1,000 emails in the program. So it's an email marketing program, and it allows you to have up to 1,000 people in there. So that's $29. The text message, I'm not 100% sure how we pay, but I know that we pay per text message. We don't have a monthly plan for that, because the monthly plan was a little bit more on your, it just wasn't financially wise for us, just because we weren't sending text messages every 30 seconds. And then the robocall, it really depends on the amount of phone numbers you have in the system. But I think it can cost you between $30 and $80 a month, depending on the amount of names or phone calls that you're making. So what you could do is you can get yourself a lower program and then just keep track of swapping, the names in and out. And so again, if you've got questions, just do me a favor, just drop it right into the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer some of these questions. One question I had gotten also earlier was a question from a ministry leader who just asked the question, well, how does automating assimilation help me out as a ministry leader, as a ministry worker? And so one of the things that I thought was just a great question, one of the things that I answered was, well, you can automate your onboarding process. So let's say, for example, someone is for the first time. If they're joining your ministry for the first time, if they're joining your ministry for the first time, you can utilize the automation in order to be able to connect them with an onboarding process. So let's say, for example, hey, email number 1, you can send them would be something like, hey, welcome to the ministry. Email number 3 might be, hey, on such and such date and time, let's make sure that we have a great opportunity to connect with a ministry leader. So you can definitely use this as a ministry leader to be able to communicate and to connect with others. Another way we're using it is with our marriage ministry. So if someone wants to find out more information about how to get married at the church, we're automating that. People are entering the information online, and then once they enter online, they're actually able to, from there, follow up. There's 3 or 4 emails that we write that sends them the application. Another email encourages them to sign up for counseling. A third email encourages them to sign up for the Marriage Foundations class. One question is, how long does the entire follow-up process take? So it's a great question. So I prefer to keep the process at 21 days. So it's a 21-day follow-up plan. But the premise is 7 touches to build trust. And so if it takes 7 touches to build trust, you want to have 7 different, whether it's emails or a video or a robocall or a text message, you want to have at least 7 touches of that, but you want to spread it out so it's not 7 touches in 1 week. 7 touches in 1 week might feel a little on the overwhelming side. Yeah, like a stalker. And so you want to you don't want to do that. You want to spread your follow-up process. You want to spread it out. And so, as I mentioned, I'll be on for the next 10 minutes, and then after those 10 minutes, I want you to know that the fast acting bonus ends in the next 10 minutes. Okay, so I'd love to answer any questions that you might be having in regards to follow-up concerns. One question that I'm constantly getting, I just enter the question into the chat. And so one question that I'm always getting is, how do we increase the amount of first-time visitors that we're getting, or first-time guests? So I had this conversation yesterday with one of the pastors, and I mentioned that one of the things that he got to do, he's got to create a culture of evangelism in his church. Because see, first-time guests only come to your church when they're invited. And so is your congregation inviting people? An easy way or a great way to do that is to be able to get take maybe a week or 2 before a service, take the week or 2 before an evangelistic service, something like Easter, and use that time frame to push people, okay, push them towards inviting others. So it's super important that you kind of get people to try to invite, to encourage the congregation, to just get others, family members, friends. And here's the thing, when you start talking to them about evangelism, they freak out because they think they've got to make the altar call in the corner. And what you've got to just do is help them to diminish their fears, because all they've got to do is invite. Invite. They don't necessarily need to be the person who's going to, and seal the deal on that spot. Now, if they're capable of doing it, go for it. But at least everyone should be able to invite someone. And so that's where it's super important that we're challenging people, invite others to the church. And that's how you're going to get more first-time guests coming to the church. All right, so I'm gonna be on for another couple of minutes. If you've got any other questions, we can drop it into the chat. I want to make sure that you guys understand that when we're talking about the automation process, it's really your follow-up. And so, if it didn't lay it out clear enough, the process looks something like this. Someone comes to your church for the first time. They fill out a commitment card or a connection card. You take the card, enter it into your membership class, into your membership program. Your membership program, then the next day you export that, you get a list file as all of your guests. You import that into your program. The minute you import the program, it automatically starts sending out the emails. And so once you're sending out emails, which you should receive, for example, I've already got an email, all of the email. So you someone's name, email address to your program, about a half hour later, you're able to start getting emails that you have created. Again, most people what they're doing is they've got per week, or maybe 3 touches depending on the week, a video greeting from your pastor, just welcoming into the church, and all of it automated. So once you start the process, you're not constantly sending out emails on a weekly or daily basis. All right, so at this point, I just want to make sure if there are not any other questions, you can take a look at, go to connect1kguest.com. And if you want the fast acting bonus, which is a free month of ConvertKit, just sign up today, and then we'll be able to help you from there. Again, the class is going to begin next week. Class is going to begin next week, Thursday at 3 p.m. And so we look forward to having you there. We're going to walk you through the entire process of building it. And when you're done with the classes, when you're done with the connecting1kguest.com, you're actually going to be able to have your assimilation program built out in its entirety. So another question that I normally get when I'm dialoguing a little bit with pastors is that just ask me a little bit about the process in the actual. They'll ask me about the process in the actual service, and so just to clarify, make sure that's clear. The way it kind of works is we start off by making sure that our host welcomes all of the first-time guests in the room. Hey, welcome so much. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got some special guests here. If you're a special guest, this is your first time at our church, we want you to do me a favor because we've got special gifts for you. In order for us to be able to identify you as a first-time guest. So if this is your first-time guest, this is your first time visiting us at this church, would you do me a favor and just raise your hand? And people will start to raise your hand. Hey, we've got a fantastic gift for you. Whatever it is, it's a coffee cup or a mug. I'll make a joke and say, hey, your coffee tastes much more better in this coffee mug. Trust me, it's fantastic. It's going to look beautiful. Or if it's whatever the gift is. People will raise their hands. The ushers will give out the coffee mug. And as people are receiving the gift, the coffee mug or whatever the gift is, I'll say something to the effect of, hey, So now that you got your gift, I want to know that everything in the package is yours. Everything in the package is yours, but except for the card. So I need you to do us a favor, fill out the card and drop the card in the actual in the offering basket. And then I'll thank them one more time for visiting us. And that's the process in its entirety. The follow process or the process at that point when we've got first time guests. That's the process in its full entirety. And again, as I mentioned earlier in the program, we're able to just kind of give you we'll give you scripts, we'll give you cheat sheets, all of that to just kind of follow up and just help you with the program. All right, so I'm just maybe you can just type it right into the chat box and just kind of let any questions before we jump off. We're going to be jumping off in the next 2 minutes. So if there are any questions, just feel free to type in, and then that way we can answer your questions. I know someone made a mention about considering robocalls. What I love about robocalls is the idea that you can actually hear the senior pastor's voice. What I don't like about robocalls is that after a while it can seem a little bit on the impersonal side. And so what you've got to do is just kind of manage that so that your robocalls aren't the only way that people hear your pastor's voice. So you want to make sure that the robocalls are just one form of communication, but that and just use it sparingly, but use it as reminders. So for example, if you've got a major baptism or some sort of major outreach that you want to do, or you want to get to your membership class, I would use the robocalls for that. Use that as an opportunity to be able to follow with them there, where they can hear your voice or the voice of the senior pastor, or the voice of one of the pastors, encouraging them and challenging them to make a certain decision. Right, so we're about to jump off, and I just want to take a moment and just thank everyone who stood through to the end. Would really love the opportunity to walk you through building this process. Again, connect 1000guests.com, 1000guests.com. You can take a quick look at it, and we're going to be starting at about $59. $59 today, get you in the program, and then from there we'll be able to follow up with you. Our next class, the class will begin next Thursday, starting at 3 p.m. All right, so I hear the little beep. That's the countdown, and we're almost done for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you guys keep your eyes out on the. Oh, how do we stop that beeping? I have beeping in my ear. Make sure you guys also look out. I'm going to be sending the replay for the video. And again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And we are praying that you thrive. Take care and God bless.